Fasten your seatbelt. I am taking you for the ride of your life. I'm going to show you what this car can really do. Are you ready?
I am ready.
Hang on.
Okay.
Here we go.
Hold on to your butts.
Forget him, kid.
To infinity and beyond!
It might be a tumor.
It's not a tumor. Not a tumor at all.
So you can go ahead and ask me what you're going to ask me, and my natural response could be to get offended.
Well, fine, let's talk about it.
Any thoughts of your own on this matter? Or is that your thing? You come into a bar, you read some obscure passage, and then pretend you pawn it off as your own idea just to impress some girls?
Just another American who saw too many movies as a child.
Yeah, well, that's just like your opinion, man.
All right.
You're listening to the 30-something movie podcast. One movie each week, 30 years in the making. Hey guys, we're manly men, right?
Point of order, Mr. Chairman.
Point of order, yes.
For whatever reason, I wasn't hearing the whole shtick just a minute ago.
Because I didn't push the button that needed to be pushed.
Okay, just checking. Like we heard words, but not music or something. It didn't sound right.
Now, you'd be able to hear it.
Okay, sorry. Didn't mean to interrupt.
No.
Well, now the whole thing's just completely.
I know. Now we just have to scrap it.
What? I'm not scrapping or editing anything. I'm just docking your pay. And we've lost Bo. Wow, that's got to be a record.
Yeah, we just did it open.
He's gone. Like, he is way gone.
Wow. What?
All I did was this. This is it. This is all I did.
Yeah. Oh, you're turning violet.
Something about the way Jeff does the face. So good.
I'm glad I could be here for you.
Oh, I've missed you, Jeff.
I'm glad I could be here for this.
It's the way he does the face, guys. I don't know how to describe it. He does it in a way that is just different.
Jeff's face makes you laugh. That's what you're saying?
That's what I'm saying. Okay. Exactly.
Hey, tell me
word
something
for word.
I haven't heard before.
All right now.
Bo, how are you doing?
I am well, John. How are you?
I'm excellent.
Most excellent.
Hefe, how are you?
I go by Yef.
I'm sorry, Yef. Yes.
Yeah, I'm good. Yeah.
Well, like I said, I did that on purpose because in the Latin alphabet, it's spelled with an I.
Isn't everything?
Yes.
That's how we went down the rabbit hole to begin with.
It was. Before we actually, Bo, you missed that part. Before we started recording.
There was more?
Oh, there was more. Yeah.
Bo.
Jeff and I were the only ones here for a little bit. We made up an entire mashup series of movies that mashes up the Christopher Nolan Batman series with Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade.
Oh, excellent.
It was quite awesome.
Yeah. We're going to quit our jobs and do the screenplay.
In Latin, Joker spelled with an I.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we had
Ioker.
We had a lot. Ioker, yes, yes, yeah. The Bane featured Joker was in there.
Did I ever tell you how I got these scars? I chose poorly.
I ever tell you how I got these scars? I wasn't penitent. All right. Well, we're keeping our day jobs. Patrick, how's it going?
I'm good. I'm already enjoying this show.
Patrick, I feel like you're the kid sitting in the corner just waiting to see what the rest of us do.
Yeah, I know. I'm just kind of like, just kind of trying to fly low under the radar.
Okay.
Hey, Pat, can I tell you something?
Jeff, tell me something.
I'm thinking of adding another session to our music classes.
Okay.
Oh, what are you doing?
I think we should do a session on, so how did we get here, right? How do we get from operas and operettas and concertos and orchestral music to scoring movies and using it in movies? How do we get from point A to point B and then start breaking down movie music instead of just starting with the hero themes
That'd be awesome, man.
Just after talking about Max Steiner and thinking about Korngold, like, you know, it might be worth mentioning them a little bit, and you know, their contributions to the idea that, hey, we've got, especially Steiner, right? We've got a full orchestra. Let's hear the full orchestra.
That sounds cool to me.
Anyway, I'm playing around with it in my head, see if we can't get another session in there.
That'd be awesome.
You went a far more school appropriate route than I thought in my head when you started that. I was like, how did we get from operettas to Baby Got Back and Wrecking Ball? Because that could be interesting too.
Probably not.
No. Okay.
No.
You're not gonna
There's a lot we could teach.
You're not doing the Sir Mix-a-Lot mini unit?
So why are we here tonight, John?
Because we're wearing tights, Yef.
Mine are a little tight.
Well,
tights,
as they should be. Tights. I don't know why it's coming out all squeaky. They're just 3 sizes too small. Yes, so we are here for Robin Hood Men in Tights. And we'll give the little spoiler spiel right here. We do spoil freely, so if we start to talk about a movie that you don't want to hear about, just hit that little skip ahead button a couple of times, and we should be done.
Yeah, things are going to be spoiled tonight.
Probably. Yeah, we're probably going to mention several other Mel Brooks movies, and I'm sure several Robin Hood movies and all kinds of other stuff. So just be aware. Our website. If twere time for you to visit our website, twould be twerrific. If you could rate, leave a voicemail, and become a co-executive producer via Patreon.
That's one of my favorite bits in the movie. If only twere you. Oh, if only twere me. Twould be twerrific. Oh, man. Okay, anyway.
Yeah. Anyway. So, yes, go ahead and visit www.twertypodcast.com. That would be 30 podcast.
That sounds awfully close to things they might not want to see.
No? Don't go to Twerty Podcast. I don't know what that is. It's not twerrific. It's twerable.
Oh, God.
I don't know.
I am officially confused at this point. What is is this our website or is this another website?
You should be. I should have said that more succinctly.
Oh, God. This is going to be rough.
It's going to be an episode, gents.
It's going to be something.
I think we are.
It's going to be an episode.
I think we are officially in the triage portion of the pod.
We might be.
This is normally the kind of.
Is this a record?
This is normally the kind of podcasting we do when it's like the Tuesday or Wednesday or Monday, like right before Thanksgiving break.
Yeah.
But this is the Monday after a time change.
That's also true.
And I think then became now during the time change.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just saying, and I'm not going to confirm or deny it, but this week there was perhaps a meeting at school when we were being asked to literally put a square peg in a round hole. John heard the details about it this morning.
Yes.
But I'm saying that's been my last, well, not counting the weekend, 24 hours at school is we were literally having a meeting about putting a square peg in a round hole. So yeah. I'm just going to leave it there and say I'm not sure which way is up right now.
Well, I won't go into the full story.
Being too literal.
I won't go into the full story, but I have to ask, because we have another tech person here, Bo, if you had a keyboard that was not USB compatible, where would you plug in that USB cable?
Bend over and I'll show you.
That's the right answer.
We were told just to put in a tech ticket because they got a dongle or something.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that is the magic word that fixes everything now, right? You know that, right?
Dollop a dongle, do you?
Oh,
just get the dongle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't you have a dongle to go from this to this? No, I do not.
Sure I do.
Braces from Pat's honeymoon for $400.
I was just gonna say, what are we talking about?
Oh Lord.
Uh-huh.
Oh man, so we're kind of. Oh boy, this kind of pod. Okay, all right.
We're men in tights.
Let's get out of these women's clothes and get back into our tights.
Boys looking for fights. We're men in tights. We rob from the rich and give to the poor. That's right.
All right. So this movie came out on July 28th, 1993. Was rated PG-13, ran 1 hour and 44 minutes, directed by Mel Brooks, who did Blazing Saddles and Young Frankenstein. Also written by Mel Brooks, who did Spaceballs and the producers. And here's a fun little story. Evan Chandler. So I looked up Mr. Evan Chandler because I'm like, he has no other credits on IMDb. It's because he's a dentist.
Oh.
Why would a dentist be involved in the writing of this movie, you say? I could have gone into the song "I'll Be Your Dentist" from. Yeah.
It was going through my head, actually.
Was it? Okay. I'm proud of all of us. Basically, what happened was Mr. Evan Chandler's son saw Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves, and said, this movie deserves to be parodied, and told his dad that. And one of his dad's clients happened to be J. David Shapiro, who also wrote this movie and Battlefield Earth. And they discussed this together and decided to write a treatment for this movie that ended up getting bought and heavily edited, heavily rewritten by Mel Brooks. But they had the original story for the Robin Hood parody.
Huh.
So, yeah. So, a dentist wrote this movie. Let's see. Produced by Mel Brooks, who also produced The Elephant Man and To Be or Not to Be. Composed by Hummy Man, who did Year of the Comet and Dracula Dead and Loving It. Cinematographer was Michael O'Shea, who did Visiting Hours and Terminal Choice. Editor was Stephen Rivkin, who did Avatar and Pirates of the Caribbean, The Curse of the Black Pearl. Production company was Brooks Films. Budget was $20 million. Box office was $35.7 million. Flick Metrics gives it an average score of a 57% across the 4 different websites. Cinema Score gives it a B. Cary Elwes played Robin Hood. He was in The Princess Bride and Saw. Richard Lewis was Prince John. He was in Leaving Las Vegas and Wagons East. Roger Rees, who died in 2015, played the Sheriff of Rottingham. He was in The Prestige and Frida. Amy Yazbek played Maid Marian. She was in The Mask and Problem Child. Mark Blankfield played Blinken. He was in Dracula Dead and Loving It and The Incredible Shrinking Woman. Dave Chappelle played Achu.
Did you say Abe Lincoln?
Did you say?
No, he said, "Hey, Lincoln."
Yes. Dave Chappelle played Achu.
Bless you.
God bless you.
Thank you. Was in Half Baked and The Nutty Professor. Isaac Hayes, who died in 2008, played a Sneeze. He was in Shaft and Escape from New York.
Father of a Chew.
Yes, father of a Chew.
God bless you.
Megan Cavanaugh played Broomhilda. She was in A League of Their Own and Junior. Thank you, sir. Eric Allen Kramer played Little John. He was in American Wedding and True Romance. Matthew Peretta played...
I'm really quite big.
Yes. Matthew Peretta played Will Scarlett O'Hara from Georgia. No
relation.
Yes. He was in Beverly Hills Cop and Dracula's Widow. Tracy Ullman played Latrine, who had a very good name change. That's a very good change.
So
you went.
You changed your name to Latrine. Yeah.
In just a matter of fact way, it used to be. Uh-huh.
Oh.
We could do, you could do a parody song. Do a parody song of that with Brick House.
Oh God.
We're coming up with all the parodies tonight.
All the parodies.
Tracy Ullman was Latrine. She was in the Tracy Ullman Show and Corpse Bride. Dom DeLuise, who died in 2009, played Don Giovanni. He was in Blazing Saddles and Spaceballs. Patrick Stewart played King Richard. He was in Star Trek The Next Generation and X-Men. And Dick Van Patten played the Abbott. Abbott!
I hate that guy.
I hate that guy. Thank you. He was in Spaceballs and Westworld. All right. A couple little trivia things here we got for this one. When Mel Brooks first gave Cary Elwes the call to offer him the lead role, he thought it was a prank and hung up on him. So there's a way to almost miss getting a fun job working with Mel Brooks. But and actually it was because of his performance in The Princess Bride. And he had kind of portrayed, he had kind of taken on this Errol Flynn type portrayal. And that's kind of, between that and his performance in The Princess Bride, that's kind of what got Mel Brooks looking at him for the character of Robin Hood for this one.
Got it.
The joke that we, the bit that we all just did, the Hey Abbott, is an homage to Bud Abbott and Lou Costello. And then the last one I've got on here was, do you know who was originally offered the role of Little John?
Ooh.
I do not.
It was the Hulkster brother.
Really?
Oh, now that's hysterical.
Yeah.
That's a fun movie. Well, this is a fun movie too. I don't want to say it.
I don't know. I feel like that might be kind of distracting.
It could be, yeah.
It depends on how they use him. I feel like at that point you have to be gentle with him.
Yeah, but I don't know if he has it in him to not be
over the top and crazy.
Well, just like not seeking all the attention.
Yeah.
Did you just use the word gentle and Hulk Hogan in the same sentence?
No, he has to be used gently, not he would be gentle. That's true. No.
I don't know. I don't know if I can picture the Hulkster writhing around on the ground going, I'm drowning. In like,
it's hysterical.
In like 4 inches of water.
I'm drowning, brother.
These 24-inch pythons are bigger than the water I'm in.
Go get my Hulkamaniacs to help me out.
Let me tell you something, Sheriff of Nottingham.
Uh-huh. You know, the Hulkster won't drown if we just say our prayers and take our vitamins. Uh-huh. All right. Anyway.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, it'd be a little distracting.
Yeah. I think I would be waiting for him to be Hulk.
Yeah. Well, we know from Gremlins 2 that he can break the fourth wall, so he could have done that in this movie.
That would have been a detriment to the movie.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Well, in a world where one man dared to kill a king's dare, prepare for a tale of adventure, romance, and men in really tight tights. Robin Hood, Men in Tights. They're on a mission to steal from the rich, give to the poor, and save England one laugh at a time. This is not your ancestors' Robin Hood.
20th Century Fox presents the motion picture event of the summer. The summer of 1125 AD.
That's him! Robin Hood.
Good evening. The Hoods from the woods are back.
Yo! Check it out.
Little John.
Ow!
Prince John.
More bubbles. Oh, yeah, just now it's happening.
The Sheriff of Rottingham.
I challenge you to a duel.
I accept. Maid Marian.
A chastity belt?
It's an everlast.
And a Rabbi Tuckman.
Hello, boys.
He's the first action hero.
Man, white men can't jump.
And the last word in comedy.
And why should the people listen to you?
Because, unlike some other Robin Hoods, I can speak with an English accent.
Robin Hood, Men in Tights. A Mel Brooks film.
Yes!
The legend had it coming.
Go home, Mel Brooks.
Every time they keep burning down our village. All right, major moments. So we break the movie down real quickly into 10 major moments that help give kind of a flyby of the plot. And then after that, we will dig into our deep thoughts on this one. So really quickly, our major moments. Number 1, crusade, imprisonment, and escape. So we are clearly parodying the Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves here. Robin of Loxley is captured during the Crusades, imprisoned in Jerusalem with the help of a sneeze, father of a chew. He does manage to thank you. He does manage to escape his prison guard. Was his prison guard's name was Falafel?
Well, what they had was strength of feet.
Yes, not a feat of strength. It was strength of feet. Yeah, which is always important. Number 2, return to England and discovering Prince John is the ruler now. After escaping, Robin returns to England, finds Achu, a sneeze's son, and learns that Prince John has seized power during King Richard's absence. Upon reaching Loxley Hall, Robin discovers that it has been repossessed and his family and his fish are all dead. His blind servant Blinken tells him of a key of great treasure left by his father. Robin meets Little John and Will Scarlett O'Hara and begins forming a group to fight Prince John's tyranny, which includes Rabbi Tuckman, who provides some spiritual, comic, and alcoholic relief. Maid Marian's interest. She is smitten by Robin, particularly intrigued by the fact that he is probably the only eligible bachelor anywhere nearby. And we haven't quite made the connection yet that he has the key, possibly, to the chastity belt that she wears.
The greatest treasure in all the land.
There we go. The Sheriff of Rottingham plans to assassinate Robin during an archery contest, using an archery contest as bait. Maid Marian warns Robin about the impending danger. At the tournament, Robin, disguised, nearly loses, but calls for a redo after consulting the movie's script, realizes that he gets a second chance. He succeeds, but is captured when an assassin's plot is foiled. Robin and his merry men crash the wedding of Marian and the sheriff. In the ensuing chaos, Robin duels the sheriff while trying to save Marian. After an accidental stabbing, the sheriff is saved, or potentially saved, by a magical lifesaver. Literally, a magical lifesaver. Latrine is trying to save him because she wants to get with him. The wedding ceremony of Robin and Marian is interrupted by the arrival of Patrick Stewart as King Richard, who, before he deposes Prince John, does claim his right of being a prima donna and decides to give Marian a kiss before they finish the wedding ceremony. As Robin and Marian's wedding is completed, they find themselves unable to open the chastity belts, the end of the movie being Robin calling for a locksmith. Fade to black.
It's the locksmith.
Fade to Black Sheriff, which worked just fine in Blazing Saddles.
It worked in Blazing Saddles?
It did. All right. That is the major moments. It is now time for our deeper thoughts.
And now, Deep Thoughts.
I have an opinion on this matter.
Don't mince words, Bones. What do you really think?
I like it a lot.
Wow. It's very deep. Thank you.
All right. It's going to be stupid of me to ask if we like this movie, because I think that's probably a given, and feel free to interrupt me if it's not. But I think we like this movie. So let's start with, I have a more serious question, but let's start with this. Do you remember the first time you saw this?
I think, gosh, I hate to say that I saw it this young, but I think I saw it soon after it came out, and I probably shouldn't have.
Oh, I guarantee I saw it around the time it came out.
Yeah, it was, as soon as it hit HBO or whatever, I just remember being in stitches, like things that I don't even find, things that I would not find funny in another movie are funny in this movie, is the best way I can describe it. And it was true the first time I saw it. Like
how much of it do you think you understood, though?
Oh, that's the best part, is I enjoyed it that much. And I know I didn't understand a bunch of it back then. Every time you watch it, I feel like you pick up something else. You're like, oh, that's good. Like, I guarantee the bubbles in the bath meant nothing to me when I first saw it. Now it's funny. I would, conservatively, half of it when I first saw it.
Yeah. Yeah, I guarantee I probably didn't. Maybe half the. Well, that's probably that's generous to say I got half.
But so much of it is physical gags. Yeah. Like, you probably got half of it back then.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't. I know I definitely didn't get the Malcolm X and Winston Churchill jokes.
No.
No.
Or at the time, to be honest, the Blazing Saddle reference.
Yeah, right. I hadn't seen Blazing
because I saw this before Blazing Saddles for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. I could just about guarantee this was a movie theater viewing for us, because my dad liked Mel Brooks. So I would imagine he probably saw that this said PG-13 and said, yeah, he's not 13, but let's go.
Close enough.
It's close enough. So yeah, I am pretty certain we saw this in the theater. In fact, I feel like I can remember seeing this in the theater.
I know I didn't see it in the theater. I'm not sure when I saw it, to be honest with you, but
well, it was a pretty steady rerun on TV.
Yeah.
Yeah, even so, I'm sure I probably saw it on cable.
Yeah.
And it would have been, I would have been in high school, probably by the time I saw it. I don't know if this is one my parents would have let me watch or not, but I'm going to say at some point, upper grades of high school is when I stumbled across this one.
Patrick, what about you?
I saw this in the theater with friends when it came out.
Okay.
And we were never much, I don't think it was like opening night, but I want to say it was like opening weekend when this sucker came out. I remember us going to see it. My friends and I remember laughing a whole lot. And I mean, I like you guys were saying, like, I don't know if I could necessarily process everything that I was seeing. But sort of like in Starship Troopers, you know, when they show a little blink of the news and then it'll always be like, do you want to know more? I could see something, I'd be laughing. I'm like, I'm not sure why I'm laughing, but I really want to know more. This is really funny. So yeah, this was pretty awesome. And I also want to say, I don't think it was major moments worthy, but I just want to say when he travels from the Middle East back to England and he's jumping in the water, like swimming out, I can't tell you why, but that is still laugh out loud funny to me. Watching the movie all by myself, oh my goodness, that is absolutely hilarious. And it's just, and then it shows the map with the little splish splash, splish splash, splish splash. I just, oh my gosh, that was like, okay, I got to pause. I got to get a hold of myself because I'm going to miss something. This is funny.
And isn't that just the truth of this movie? Like, very few movies get a pop out of me with no one else around. Like, I'll enjoy it, but like this one does. It drops something and I am laughing out loud to myself. No one else in the room.
Oh, I'm not alone. I know I'm not alone here.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Bo, it was kind of blanking out there. Did I interrupt your thought?
No. I was agreeing with you.
Oh, okay. I'm so sorry, but I'm a Mel Brooks fan. So I mean, it's hard pressed to say that guy can do that guy can't do anything wrong for me. I mean, I love all his movies. I laugh at his jokes. I laugh at his characters. I laugh at the actors that he picks. And how they bring his story to life. It's just funny stuff.
Well, and good that Little John didn't show up till later because he never would have been able to make that journey.
Yeah, exactly. I'm drowning.
You know that I'm thinking back to it, and I went to go look just to see. There's a possibility that I saw this in the theater with friends because I would have just turned 13 when this came out in England because it came out in December of '93 in England. And we were living over there. So this might have even been like around about the time of my birthday. So this might have even been like hey, let's go see a movie for my birthday. And then we'll go to Pizza Hut or somewhere. But yeah, I have memories of seeing this in the
Pizza's
theater.
gonna send out for you.
There we go. Yeah. So here's my serious question, and then we can get back to quoting the movie and everything else. This movie does break the fourth wall a lot. Are you fine with that, or do you feel like there are times where movies can do that too much? Like I watch certain movies. I love the Deadpool movies. Deadpool 1, Deadpool 2. I love the Deadpool movies. He can break the fourth wall as much as he wants to. I don't care. I really, really enjoy those movies. This movie, I also don't have a problem with it. I don't think it's overdone in this movie. Has there ever been a time where you've watched a movie, and maybe it's a Mel Brooks movie, where breaking the fourth wall just did not work for you, or they overdid it?
For me, no, for Mel Brooks, because as I aforementioned, everything the guy does is comedy gold to me. So
he can do no wrong.
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't think nothing comes to mind for me in terms of movies that overdo the breaking the fourth wall gag.
Yeah.
In general, I agree. Like, I can't think of any where I remember thinking, oh, that's too much.
Okay.
But I do think movies are conscious of that, and I think they do it sparingly on purpose.
Mm-hmm.
I think it just kind of depends on the movie and how well it fits the movie. Like Ferris Bueller, it fit the movie just fine.
Yeah.
High Fidelity fit the movie just fine.
Number 1,
Wayne's World.
The bullet.
Fight Club.
Yeah. I don't.
So then maybe that leads to a follow-up question. Is there a bad time to break the fourth wall? Because off the top of my head, I can't think of a time where it was done in a movie and I'm like, ooh, no, shouldn't have done that.
So is there a genre of movie that you just don't think it would work? Because I want to say, like, it works well for comedy, so it would have to be a comedy movie to do that. But like Fight Club's not a comedy.
Yeah. Comedic.
Goodfellas. It worked in Goodfellas.
Yeah. I don't think it would work in Titanic.
That's one way to look at it.
Yeah,
yeah, I suppose you're more.
Although if the fourth wall is bigger than the door, let's break it.
If
break it and give him a fighting chance.
So to Jeff's point, is that like because it just didn't work in that movie, or it doesn't work in that genre of movie, disaster movies?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I almost feel like your movie has to have an element of comedy to it. It doesn't have to be a comedy movie, but it's got to have an element of comedy for it to work. Because I don't think it's going to work. It's not going to work really well in a horror movie unless you're introducing an element of comedy to the horror movie. It's not going to work in a serious drama.
I guess it depends on how it's done in the movie too,
Yeah.
right? Like a voiceover narration is technically breaking the fourth wall.
True.
Well, and I'm gonna I push back as well. That's not I'll say push back. I'll push back on that because again, I'll point out Goodfellas. Goodfellas built to that. Well, spoiler alert for Goodfellas. Okay, everyone had a chance to fast forward. Goodfellas built to that dramatic court scene, and it was building up, and you're just not sure what's going to happen, and then all of a sudden he's talking directly to the camera and like walking through the courtroom. And I thought that scene was incredibly effective at I don't know, really bringing the audience into this story and even giving it a credence. It was based on real characters, so like giving that movie, it almost felt like a documentary. Well, that's putting it a little strongly, but it made that movie seem more real as opposed to fictional when all of a sudden Ray Liotta starts addressing the camera and like walking through the courtroom. So, and I don't think there was much comedy in that scene. You know what I'm saying?
Jumping back historically, probably not every, but did most Shakespeare plays have somebody breaking the fourth wall? Probably, because they would turn and talk to the audience, either as an introduction or a closing or to explain something.
Well, does that maybe go back to what Jeff was saying? What constitutes breaking the fourth wall? Because, yeah, there were some scenes in a Shakespeare play where the opening scene is welcome to the show, and here's a couple things you need to know. Is that breaking the fourth wall because the show actually started?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Like, I just did a quick Google search of movies that broke the fourth wall, and some of the stuff I scratched my head a little bit. Like just voiceover narration. Do you count that as breaking the fourth wall?
If they're talking to the audience, yes.
Technically, yeah, but I guess like when I think of breaking the fourth wall, I'm thinking of characters looking at me, the audience.
Yeah.
Right? Not so much just talking to me or sharing information.
Like, I don't think, because the other night was November 5th and I watched V for Vendetta, and Natalie Portman has her voiceover at the beginning and at the end of the movie. I don't think of that as being breaking the fourth wall because she's not directly addressing me as the audience.
Then who's she addressing?
Talking to herself.
I don't buy that.
Posterity.
I think she's I think she is addressing the audience.
You think so? I don't know.
I just don't think we have ever considered that type of moment to be breaking the fourth wall. I think we are all like-minded in that breaking the fourth wall means your actor is engaging more directly with the audience, usually visually.
Yeah. It's over. Go home.
Yeah. Well, like I'm looking on this list, and like they list Psycho as a movie that breaks the fourth wall because of at the end when spoiler for Psycho. Anyone? Spoiler.
Sorry.
When Anthony Perkins stares directly into the camera at the end of the film, they're considering that to be him breaking the fourth wall.
Okay.
But I don't know. Like, I don't know if that's meant to engage us as an audience member or just,
yeah,
if there's something else that he's looking at or if it's supposed to be us. But again, I don't know if I would have said like, oh yeah, that's a great example of breaking the fourth wall. I think more in terms of like a Ferris Bueller,
yeah,
or like I said, High Fidelity, right? When your characters are directly
right
talking to whoever's viewing the movie.
All right. Well, that was a serious discussion for Robin Hood Men in Tights. Favorite scene?
From the beginning to the end.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah.
That's an acceptable answer.
Yeah. It's the training montage for me.
Oh yeah.
Jerkins, sheaths, pantyhose, just that whole training montage and them getting ready. That's the one.
Yeah. Some of it for me is like some of the little moments, like when Little John and Robin are fighting and the sticks that they're fighting with just keep getting smaller and smaller until you finally get to the little tiny sticks and they just keep hitting each other's fingers and there's like, ow, ow, ow. Like that whole part. Little things like that.
I like the little, to be honest, the little, little scenes as well. Him swimming, like taking off into the ocean, and then he swims back to England. Them in the prison, and all the hands are reaching up through the grates, and they're like stomping on the hands, and they come up flipping them off. It's just, I don't know why, but that's just funny. That's the stuff that just makes me have to hit pause because I'm laughing so hard.
I like the writing. I think there's a lot of great wordplay.
Yeah.
In this movie. I like that the sheriff mixes up the words in the sentences. I think that leads to a lot of fun. I think we already mentioned like the oh Robin, if only 'twere you. Yes, if 'twere me, 'twould be twerrific. Like, it's such a stupid line, but it's so funny the way that it gets delivered. And the way that Robin interacts with the sheriff, like, no, that's a wild pig, that's a wild boar. Like, the wordplay. I enjoy the wordplay.
Yeah.
I enjoy a lot of this movie.
Yeah.
Did you? I don't think during the trivia time, I don't know if I mentioned this one or not. Do you know who almost played Latrine instead of Tracy Ullman?
I'm going to say Carol Kane.
I'm going to say Madeline Kahn.
Oh.
That could have been fun.
Either one of the.
It's Twoo! It's Twoo!
It would have been Twerrific. It would have been Twoo.
Either one of those would be great choices.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Madeline Kahn or Carol Kane. Carol Kane would have been fantastic.
Yeah.
Good pull on that, Bo. I mean, that's a good choice. But Madeline Kahn would be acceptable.
Well, yeah.
I mean, she was such a great comedic talent.
Yeah.
I'm still thinking about like trying to narrow down a favorite scene, and just too many come to mind.
But it is. I mean, there's so much of the, like you were saying, there's so much of the wordplay stuff, and there's the, like, Robin, promise you won't go. All right, I promise you won't go.
I promise you won't go. Robin, you said cool it.
Blinken's sitting on the toilet while the castle is gone, and he's just sitting there. There used to be a door there. Robin,
did you say Abe Lincoln? No, I said Abe Lincoln. Hold the reins, man.
Robin, you've lost your arms in battle. But you grew some nice boobs.
I'll see you later.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of the writing, this is one of Mel Brooks' better contributions, I think. I mean, a lot of his movies have such terrific writing, but I think this one, and I would argue that this was probably his last great movie that he directed. I don't know that he directed that many more after this one, but I feel like this is probably the last great one that he did. I never got a chance to see History of the World Part 2, so I don't know.
I have seen maybe half of it.
Okay. How does it hold up?
It's good. It's not History of the World Part 1 good, though.
Okay.
But it's good. This was his second to last directing credit. Dracula Dead and Loving It would have been the last.
Oh, God, that's too bad.
Yeah. My thoughts as well.
Yeah, if this would have been his last directing credit, this would have been a really high point for him to go out on.
Oh yeah.
I feel like he did this one so well. He really honed in well on a lot of the tropes of the Robin Hood story and made fun of the right parts of Prince of Thieves.
Yeah. I don't know if you guys know, he had a little bit of practice with this. He did a Robin Hood parody back in the 70s. Yeah. He did a very shortly lived TV series called When Things Were Rotten. It only ran for maybe one season, and it was after he had done Blazing Saddles and Young Frankenstein. And it was a sitcom that was a satire on Robin Hood. And it was, in fact, I was looking at this one website here. It's like one example of some of the gags. There was a character named Lord MacDonald of the Golden Archers, and he's wearing a T-shirt that says "Over 1 million dispatched." So he had, and there's about a 20-year gap. So he had a little bit of time with this TV series to do a little bit of poking fun at Robin Hood, but then obviously it's something he enjoyed, so he came back to it. Yeah, I'd be curious if that's available anywhere to see. When Things Were Rotten came out in 1975.
Interesting.
Dick Van Patten was actually Friar Tuck in When Things Were Rotten.
I think Dick Van Patten officially qualifies for the Mighty Brooks Players.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how many movies you have to be in to qualify, but Dick Van Patten's definitely there.
Yeah, Mel Brooks just had such a unique talent of just finding the right things to shine the spotlight on. The right moments of whatever genre he's poking fun at, but do it in such a respectful way. More like he's honoring what came before him as opposed to trying to show how stupid a lot of it is, right? That's why I think a lot of other movies that try to do this sort of thing, like there were a number of horror comedy movies that came out, like Scream, If You Know What I Did Last Summer, like that sort of thing, where they were poking fun at a lot of the horror movies that have been coming out. And I think a lot of those just missed the mark because they didn't have an appreciation for what they were poking fun at. Whereas I feel like Mel Brooks always appreciated that of which he made fun.
Well,
So
and if you go back and like I saw this movie before I ever saw any of the Errol Flynn Robin Hood movies, and I go watch those, and I'm like, oh, that's where Men in Tights got it from. Gotcha.
Oh yeah, he went deep. I mean, it wasn't just he watched Prince of Thieves and did it. No, he
does his homework. He does his research. And again, I think that shows just how much he cares about what he's doing in a way that I'm not doing this to be mean and malicious. I'm doing this because I find, there's comedy here, but I really respect the craft and I respect what laid the groundwork for me to be able to do this thing that I'm making money doing. If not for these other movies that came out, he wouldn't have anything to parody. Mm-hmm. And I think he gets that.
Yeah, I agree, especially in reading his memoir. It talks an awful lot, and I haven't quite gotten to this movie yet, but when he's talking about some of the older ones, he talks about, what was the one that he did where he parodied Edgar Allan Poe? But I can't remember the name of it. Anyways, I'll have to look up, I have to look that up. But what he talks about, unless I got that totally backwards, but what he talks about is really wanting to get the approval of the person whose movies he was parodying. Like that was like super important to him. And he talked about the guy left him. I swear it was Edgar Allan Poe. Now I'm gonna have to look this up because I'm embarrassed. I had it set in my head. Anyways, the guy wrote him a.
I don't think he ever did an Edgar Allan Poe one.
What I've got? Okay, well, I'm going to look it up and figure out what the heck I'm talking about. But I mean, but he talked about how whatever the movie was that he was parodying it, when he had that approval, that was like really important to him. Like that was the biggest review, that was the most important to him. When he did Blazing Saddles, he wanted to have John Wayne in the movie, right? That was really important to him, to pay homage to the whole Western thing while he was lampooning it. And I think it was, and John Wayne wanted to do the movie, but just was worried that, some of the language or something that would sully his image. And he was concerned about that at the time. But that was in the book that kept coming out, is that when Mel Brooks, just exactly like you said, Jeff, he's not trying to disparage. He's trying to just make jokes, but at the same time celebrate that.
He did get George Lucas's approval to make Spaceballs.
Mm-hmm. Right. I remember that.
Yeah. And that was they made a deal with each other. Like Lucas even signed some papers, and they said, and he's like, you make this movie, just you can't release any Spaceballs merchandise that will compete with my Star Wars merchandising.
Yeah. I'm going to go get the book and figure out
the flamethrower.
Uh-huh. That's why we've never had the flamethrower.
There's no Star Wars flamethrower. I don't see how that would have been a competition issue. I'm just saying.
I think that it really speaks though to the artist, right? Because doesn't Weird Al do the same thing?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Weird Al seeks permission from the artist whose song he's writing a parody of.
Yeah.
And if that artist says no, then he doesn't do it. And I think that goes a long way in how these guys go about creating their art. When you approach it from that angle of, this is a piece of reverence. This is I'm doing this out, I'm poking fun, but I'm poking fun with all due respect, because I know that without these things, I would have nothing.
And that's what makes these guys geniuses, because and my wife and I, whenever we'd listen to Weird Al stuff in the car with the kids, or when she'd have to listen to it in the car with just me, then we've always talked about how, I mean, you could take somebody like Weird Al, you could take somebody like Mel Brooks, and you could just kind of, brush them off as, oh yeah, they just make those dumb comedy movies, those parody comedy movies, but they can't do what they do without, being near genius level when it comes to wordplay, when it comes to understanding the material, when it comes to, like you were saying, the love of the material. You can't do it unless you are a master of what it is you do. So you could, I mean, you could brush off a Weird Al as, oh yeah, he makes songs that kids like, but no, if you listen to his songs, if you listen to what he's able to do when he makes those songs, watching a Mel Brooks movie, what he's able to do, even those little tiny moments we were talking about, like you have got to have something special.
Yeah, I did, and I'm a total idiot. I was saying Edgar Allan Poe, wasn't I?
You were, and I was really curious to see how Mel Brooks was going to get his approval.
Yeah, I know. I meant Alfred Hitchcock.
Oh yeah.
I don't know
well, that's a horse of a different color.
Yeah, I have no idea. Like, I just completely conflated the two. I apologize. I apologize. But no, it was there I go again. It was Alfred Hitchcock, and it was High Anxiety. And he put on there, this film is dedicated to the master of suspense, Alfred Hitchcock. And then, anyways, the chapter talks about him and getting the permission. And then when he gets it all filmed, like Alfred Hitchcock writes him like a note that it was Alfred Hitchcock like writes him a note that was like the greatest review ever. And it was, it was to Dear Mel, what a splendid entertainment, one that should give you no anxieties of any kind. I thank you most humbly for your dedication, and I offer you further thanks on behalf of the Golden Gate Bridge. With kindest regards, and again, my warmest congratulations, Hitch. And he was like, this was, that was like the greatest reward ever, you know?
Yeah.
But again, it just, to all the point, everything that you guys were saying, much more eloquently than me, because I messed up Alfred Hitchcock and Edgar Allan Poe. His goal wasn't to disparage, but just to build and celebrate with humor.
So if Hitchcock was the master of suspense, would we be bold enough to say that Mel Brooks was the master of comedy?
Certainly of satire and parody. I think.
I'm trying to think off the top of my head if there's anybody else whose parody movies have had the same impact as his.
What about like the Zucker brothers?
No, I think I'd have to give it to Mel Brooks.
Okay.
Yeah, I can't think of anybody. Well, and thinking about all the people he's worked with. I mean, you think back to this. Bo, you were kind of joking about it, the regular cast of folks that he has in his movies. And you think about how many of them were just part of classic Hollywood comedy. And, just running through in my own head, I'm like running through a list of, you have, Madeline Kahn shows up several times, Dom DeLuise, Sid Caesar, I think was in at least one or two of his movies. Yeah, I mean, there's just so many.
The aforementioned Dick Van Patten.
Yeah.
And I know Mel Brooks, he worked for Sid Caesar. He was one of Sid Caesar's writers, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, on the Show of Shows.
Yeah.
I mean, that writing room, holy buckets.
Right.
Who else was in there with him? Carl Reiner, right? Wasn't Carl Reiner in there?
Yeah, I think so.
Mm-hmm.
Neil Simon was in there. Woody Allen was in there for a bit, I think, too.
Yeah.
A couple others too. I can't remember their names, but I know it was like definitely it became the who's who of writers.
Yeah.
That were all together in the writers' room for Sid Caesar's Show of Shows.
Yeah. Well, and that's one of the reasons why I really enjoy, my wife and I really enjoy, I've said this before, we really enjoyed the TV show Mad About You, because there are several episodes where they pull in all of those guys. They have an episode with Sid Caesar. They have an episode with Carl Reiner. They have several episodes with Mel Brooks as Uncle Phil, which are just hilarious. And that show did an amazing job of bringing back just some of those classic comedians and comedy writers. And I think that's what Mel Brooks does that other parody filmmakers haven't done to his degree. So yeah, I think I'd be comfortable in saying he would be the Hitchcock of comedy and parody.
And I really appreciate when shows do that sort of thing too. Then when they bring in, and I'm talking sitcoms, right? But like when sitcoms bring in past sitcom people in some way, it's a great way to, give them a little appreciation for the groundwork that they laid. I mean, I remember there was an episode of Caroline in the City. Did you guys ever watch Caroline in the City?
A little bit, yeah.
I didn't watch it regularly, but there was an episode that they brought in. Oh God, I'm blanking on their names. But from the Dick Van Dyke Show, the character of Rob Petrie was the head writer of a comedy show, and he had Sally Rogers and Buddy Sorrell as his co-writers, and they brought the two of them in to do an episode of Caroline in the City for no other reason than to give them the spotlight one more time, and just, it was a great moment. It was really a great moment. I love seeing when that happens on TV shows. So when Katie and I went and watched through Mad About You, those episodes with Mel Brooks were just outstanding.
Oh yeah. I love that. My favorite one is where he ends up in the hospital. He's in the hospital and he thinks he's dying. It just turns out he just had a rogue gas bubble. But he almost tricks Paul and Jamie into naming their child after him, and they're like, "Oh, Phil? Well, yeah, I guess that's not too bad." He's like, "Well, my name is not Phil. My real name is Deuteronomy." And unfortunately, they've made a promise to name their child after him because they thought he was dying. Can't name our child Deuteronomy. Kid's going to get picked on every day. Hey, Deuteronomy.
Hey, dude.
There's no duty on me. Is there any duty on you?
Oh, wow.
The actors I was thinking of was Rosemary and Maury Amsterdam.
Oh, yes.
It was just a little bit part. I think it had to do with an old drafting table. And the whole premise of that episode, I think, was trying to track down the owners of this old drafting table. I don't know. I don't remember if they found something in there and they wanted to return it, or they were looking up the history of it. And when they opened the door to bring in the old owners of the table, it ended up being Rosemary and Maury Amsterdam. And then it was one of those, if you know, you know.
Yeah. All right. Well, before we go to 3 questions, is there anything else we want to say about Robin Hood Men in Tights? Tights.
Fantastic movie. Love it all.
That's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And like any Mel Brooks movie, it honors, it respects, but it doesn't hold back.
Some of those tights have to hold back.
Yeah, well,
they're holding back a lot.
Yeah.
As long as their seams are straight.
No, we're just merry. All right. It is time for 3 questions.
He asks each traveler 5 questions. 3 questions. 3 questions.
It's impossible to answer.
Impossible because you don't know the answer.
Nobody could answer that question.
I want to ask you a bunch of questions. And I want to have them answered immediately.
What you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard. At no point in your rambling, incoherent response were you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought. Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it. I award you no points, and may God have mercy on your soul.
All right. Question number 1. What is your favorite version of the Robin Hood story?
That's a hard one to answer for me.
For me, even though what I appreciate about this movie is that this Robin Hood can actually speak with a British accent, I think for me, my favorite version of the Robin Hood story is Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves.
Yeah.
And I think it's kind of a combination of that it was, I don't know, it seemed like such a big thing at that time when I was a kid. And then almost immediately after that, getting to move over to England and then getting to play in the forest, hanging out with my friends, playing in the forest where they had actually filmed the Sherwood Forest scenes. Like, I don't know, that made it even more special. So I think for me, it's got to be Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves.
Yeah.
And I say that also admitting that I have not seen the Errol Flynn Robin Hood movies, as much as I would like to. So I'm just gonna say that's the only reason I don't rank, some of those more classic ones a little higher is I just don't have as much experience with them.
I think I'm going to flip-flop with you. While I do like Prince of Thieves, I have a great appreciation for the 1938 Adventures of Robin Hood.
Yeah.
Errol Flynn was just amazing.
Yeah.
At what he did, but just as part of the creative process for the movie. Because I want to say they were really just starting to experiment with Technicolor. So you get a lot of great, vibrant color out of that movie, out of a lot of the costumes in that movie. But yeah, I've got it over here on my in my collection. It's a quality film for sure for me. I think it might edge out Prince of Thieves just a little bit more.
Yeah.
But it doesn't have Alan Rickman, so
that's true.
But why a spoon, cousin?
Because it hurts more, you twit.
Excellent.
It's dull. It'll hurt more, you twit.
Yeah, I the case that you guys have presented, like I totally agree with. I'm going to be hard pressed to choose. Maybe I'll say that Rat Pack movie, Robin and His Seven Hoods. Maybe I'll just
there you go.
find that, and I'll find the middle. I'll find the middle ground. But yeah, everything you guys said, I think extolled the virtues of that, and they're just fun to watch. And I know we did go back and check out our Prince of Thieves episode. There was so much great stuff on offer. I love the Azim character. I love just the world building they did. I love the costumes in that movie. I thought the costumes were great. Well, go back. The music was great. There was a lot of really wonderful stuff in that movie. And then Jeff, like you said, the 1938 one, it's Errol Flynn. It's Errol Flynn. You can't, Pat Canagallo can't vote against that, right? That guy just brought all those characters to life. So I'd be hard pressed to choose between them.
The Disney one's good too.
Yeah.
Disney one's fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right, man. We watched that thing.
Yeah.
I don't know how many dozens of times as kids growing up. It's got a singing rooster. I can't vote against that one.
Right.
Oodalally.
I always did like, and I haven't seen it in a very long time. I always did like Robin and Marian. The one with Sean Connery and was it Audrey Hepburn played Maid Marian? I almost stumbled over that and called her Mad Mardigan. That's a very different movie.
That's a whole different movie.
I am the greatest maid who has ever lived. You are great.
You are great.
All right. Bo, did you give yours?
I would think just like you guys, it's Prince of Thieves or the Disney version.
Yeah.
The Errol Flynn versions are great too. I mean, just looking at the list of the different ways they've done Robin Hood, I mean, who can forget Rabbit Hood from 1949, starring Bugs Bunny, or Tom and Jerry, Robin Hood and his Merry Mouse. I mean, there is quite a breadth of Robin Hood stories to watch.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. There was one version I saw too. I don't probably caught on maybe the Disney Channel or something, but they took the idea and turned it into kids going to a boarding school.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the boarding school wasn't the boarding school called Sherwood or something like that. And the Robin character came in and kind of was going against the bully, who would have been the Prince character. So just unique ways of retelling the story as well. I mean, it lends itself to be retold again and again, because the conflict within is never going to go away.
Did anybody ever see the Robin Hood show the BBC did back in 2006?
No.
I feel like I watched an episode of that.
It's not terrible.
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't, Prince of Thieves, but it was pretty good.
You Prince of Thieves, you.
If you do a Google search for Robin Hood movies, there's an interesting one that comes up in the list, and it doesn't seem to have much to do with Robin Hood, but it is called Up the Chastity Belt, which is
okay. That's interesting.
And it's a British comedy film that was a spin-off of
course it is.
Up Pompeii, which I don't know what that is either, but
that's extraordinary.
What
would you like to do next?
That's extraordinary.
Exactly.
What would you like to do next?
Followed closely by
Dreamweaver.
audio.
For our listening audience, I did find When Things Were Rotten on YouTube.
Oh, is it on there? Okay, good.
I have pasted a link in the chat to the first episode for you guys, but
Nice.
It is there if you search for When Things Were Rotten. I think you'll find it. It's on a channel called The True History of Robin Hood.
Oh, nice.
Which is a link to some other Robin Hood type things, but it does have all 13 episodes of When Things Were Rotten.
Which I'm sure the Mel Brooks TV series is highly historically accurate.
I would think.
Yeah.
I mean, they're so used to him, they're telling him to go home. So I feel like
that's true. That is true. All right, second question, and this one's going to take probably about a good 45 to 50 minutes. What's your favorite Mel Brooks movie?
Oy vey.
It's okay. Question 3 is going to be a nice, easy one to finish it off with.
Well, I feel like the problem with Mel Brooks movie is, how are you defining a Mel Brooks movie? Anything? Produced, direct? He was in?
Yeah. Written.
Yeah, I produced or directed.
Okay. Okay. Produced or directed. I did sort of focus on producing earlier. Favorite Mel Brooks movie? You know what? For me, it's actually pretty easy. It's got to be Spaceballs.
Okay.
With some notable honorable mentions, but it's got to be Spaceballs.
For me, I think I'd have to go Young Frankenstein. That might be the one that I've watched the most out of all of his films. I think that, God, it's usually my go-to for Mel Brooks.
If we had had one more week in October, that I was going to introduce the kids to Young Frankenstein. I figured we were probably ready for it now.
It's so good.
Yeah. As a kid, I would have said Spaceballs. And for me, it's a toss-up between, well, since you said Young Frankenstein, so I'm glad somebody else said it, I'll take Blazing Saddles, because I think my answer might have, Young Frankenstein might have edged out Blazing Saddles for me, but since you took that one, I'll say Blazing Saddles.
All right. Quality choice. Patrick?
Well, you know what? I'm gonna follow in your footsteps, and just to make sure we get another title up there, I'll say History of the World, Part 1.
Have a very good friend in Rome.
Spaceballs. Spaceballs is, I'd love to say that was my first, but I want to say I watched Young Frankenstein with my parents.
Yeah.
Right around that time. So it was Young Frankenstein and Spaceballs came out together. Blazing Saddles is amazing. So all those ones that you mentioned, Men in Tights is great.
Yeah, I mean, and for me, it's not to discredit anything else that Mel Brooks has done for the most part. Like I love Spaceballs. I love his Robin Hood movie.
Yeah,
like these are great movies. But if I had to settle on one, it would have to be Young Frankenstein by a hair.
Mm-hmm. No, I hear you. I just say history of the world. I mean, I love history. I love reading it and studying it. And I was doing a lot of that right when I was watching all these movies. And my history teacher used to talk about scenes and quote scenes from that movie all the time. So I'll put history of the world up there.
Nice.
That wasn't too difficult.
No, that was actually pretty easy. All right, question number 3. Because never once, between all the years of friendship between England and Jersey, never once have you invited me to your home for coffee and cake, a ganoodle, something, What is your favorite flavor of cannoli?
Cannoli. Like everything cannoli.
Okay.
Bo's never met a cannoli he didn't like.
That's
also, always take the cannoli.
Mm-hmm.
Trust me.
Mm-hmm.
Don't got to tell him twice to drop the gun and take the cannoli.
No. Yeah.
The only thing you got to worry about is that I might shoot you so I can keep the cannoli for myself.
Mm-hmm. If I knew those were the options, that would be preceded by a scene of me with Keanu Reeves going, "We need guns, lots of guns, because I need to trade them for cannolis.
Give me 2.
Lots of cannolis."
Oh, Utah, give me 2.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Bo, can I tell you something?
Yeah.
I made the mistake
of
going to the Tony Cannoli website to see if they had any other like new flavors or seasonal stuff, and
whoops.
I'm not sure we can record another movie tonight, Bo.
Okay. Well, he's closed already, so
I know.
Does he have a Christmas cannoli out yet?
They have a pumpkin spice one until later in November.
There you go.
Yeah. I just need the traditional. But I'll take any one of them.
Yeah, trust me, you will, and you will like it.
And I have. Yeah.
Yes.
That was the problem, is as kind of a thank you for because the tech department did a lot with some of our kind of the first year I was doing assessments in our district. They really did a lot to kind of try to make things better, and we were working on a ton of stuff. So as a thank you, I went to Tony Cannoli and I bought a giant box of the cannoli bites.
Yeah.
And I dropped that off to them, but there was a moral quandary because I bought that box and I just sat there and I went, if I make a run for Canada, then I get this whole box and I don't have to go back to work ever again.
And you don't have to go back to work, which,
And how is this a bad thing?
Yeah.
There was a restaurant in Schaumburg that you could order cannolis from.
Yeah.
Especially if you were hosting a party.
Yeah.
And you would they would give you the filling in a piping bag and the shells separately.
Tony Cannoli will do that. He's got cannoli kits.
So as not to lessen the quality of the cannoli before it's time.
Yes.
Just, cannoli filling in a piping bag, I think.
Yeah, forget the shells.
It's a danger.
Beautiful. Sunsets are beautiful. Newborn babies are beautiful. This is spectacular.
Spectacular. Yes.
Yes.
Followed from John by
Dreamweaver.
I believe you can get me through the night.
Yeah.
I think my favorite filling would have to be the ricotta cheese and powdered sugar, some vanilla, maybe a little bit of cinnamon, and then some chocolate chips. Some mini chocolate chips in there.
Yeah.
And sprinkle some powdered sugar on top of it.
Yeah. They have a, so Jeff, you at this Tony Cannoli place in Mundelein, you would probably enjoy the Siciliana. It is.
I'm looking it up.
I've
never heard of Tony Cannoli.
Oh, it's amazing.
Oh, brother. Oh, Lordy.
Is it someplace I can go during my lunch break?
Yes.
Holy
yeah.
crap.
How long is your lunch break? Oh, yeah, you can make it.
Oh, yeah.
Did you just get to the website, Jeff?
Yes.
Cannoli shakes, cannoli cakes, cannoli bites, cannoli.
I'm going to call in sick tomorrow and just go to Tony Cannoli's.
Mm-hmm. There's a, and I know there's a lot better sandwich places, but there have been times where I will go to the Subway right next door to Tony Cannoli just because I know then afterwards I can walk over to Tony Cannoli and get a cannoli or two.
Yes.
I'm like, I will sacrifice the sandwich game and go Subway for the opportunity to just walk over and get a cannoli.
And if you really have time, like you're going, you go get the cannoli so you have it. Then you go have dinner at Tina G's. And then on the way home, you eat the cannoli.
Yeah, this Siciliana at Tony Cannoli's might be just the thing. God bless it. Holy. What in the... Oh, God.
A block from my house, Jeff.
Uh-huh.
Well,
geez.
2 blocks, but still.
Uh-huh.
These are
that extra block is
incredible. Yeah, I think I'm definitely gonna have to swing by during lunch.
Okay, you let me know if you plan on going out to lunch someday, and I'll go with you.
Like I said, I'll call in sick tomorrow just to hang out at Tony Cannoli's, and then call in sick Wednesday because I spent all day hanging out at Tony Cannoli's on Tuesday.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well,
I'm gonna drool over this website for a while, so you all go on. Carry on.
He needs
podcast.
a refractory period, gentlemen.
As I've said before, I'm no quitter, so I'm working towards type 3 diabetes.
Wow. Okay.
2 is for quitters. Sugar is for closers. There we go.
There it is.
Yeah.
Sugar's for closers. Cannolis for closers.
Yeah.
Oh, that's it.
Man, I would sell everything. I would be the highest rated salesperson.
Anything open, I would close just to go get a cannoli.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. All right. So we lost Jeff. Bo, did you say which one was your favorite? You said all cannolis.
I said cannoli.
Okay.
Was my favorite cannoli.
They do cannoli cakes?
Yeah.
Oh, yes. God. Oh, my God, Jeff. It is the best thing ever. Cannoli shakes, Jeff. A cannoli shake.
Yeah.
Feel a heart attack coming on right now, but I don't even care.
Yeah.
Nope. You won't while you're sipping it either. You'll be like, dude. Yeah.
If you got to go with a smile.
Cannoli class. What's that?
I think they teach you how to make the cannolis.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I would so do that.
Yeah. Maybe
podcast outing, cannoli making.
I was going to say, maybe this is a 30-something podcast team building trip.
It's $35 a person.
Can I put it on the corporate credit card?
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay. Let me go steal somebody's corporate credit card so that I can put it on there.
Hour 15 minutes. 7 p.m. Need six people at the minimum for the class to happen.
Okay.
Roll, form, and fill 3 cannoli. And 20% off all items at the time of the class.
20% off all items. Okay. I will purchase all items in the store.
God, for real.
Oh, walking in there is...
the smell of that place must be amazing.
It is.
It's not bad.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think we all got stuck.
Jeff must not have been here the night we talked about this.
I don't think so, because it was around about the time we did, was it before we did the Godfather episode we did?
Yeah, it must have been.
It was around then.
I don't remember having this conversation, but
Okay.
I'm definitely stuck here now.
Yeah.
It's a something, that's for sure.
All right. Well, at some point soon, we need to plan a lunch.
Cannoli
excursion.
chips and dip.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Okay.
I didn't know places like this could exist.
This heaven?
No, it's Mundaline.
Well,
that doesn't land as well.
True.
No, not even close.
Truer words have never been spoken.
Pat, did you answer the question about favorite cannoli?
I don't have enough cannoli knowledge to say a favorite, but I think I just would say yes.
Pat just rejected your question.
We haven't gotten to use that one in a while. That was nice.
Yeah, there we go. That was a good setup.
Finger was on the button, ready to go. But that's not a wrong answer. Just all would be totally fine.
Right.
Yeah. All right. Well, we're all going to get lost on the Tony Cannoli website. So I'm sure we'll see you all back here sometime, maybe in January or February.
When they have to roll us out of Tony Cannolis because we don't fit in the door anymore.
When we look like Violet Beauregard from Willy Wonka.
You're turning violet, Violet.
It's blowing up like a balloon. Is she full of juice? No. Ricotta.
Forgot.
Uh-huh. All right. Well, that's going to do it for this episode because we're all lost in food thought right now.
We're all just fine here.
We're all fine here now. Thank you. How are you?
How are you?
Head on over to 30podcast.com if you want to get to more of our episodes. At 30podcast on most of the different social medias. After this is the end of the month of November for us, so we are into the last month of the year. We're into December, which we are dubbing the Good Eatin' month. That's where we're going to have movies such as Alive, What's Eating Gilbert Grape, Tombstone, and then we've got Son-in-Law is a special request from Jason Colvin, and I believe he will be joining us from the Surely You Can't Be Serious podcast. Then we're going to be doing Nightmare Before Christmas, right around Christmas time. And then somewhere in there, haven't figured out just where yet, we are a special request from our own Pat Canigallo. We are going to be doing Enter the Dragon from 1973.
Don't we have a 500th anniversary episode that's dropping somewhere in there?
We do. That's actually the next episode.
Oh,
after this one? Or
this is episode 499.
I think we all need to celebrate with a cannoli.
I think we should.
Let's go.
500 cannolis for the 500th episode.
I love this plan. I'm excited to be a part of it.
We could, obviously technically we've already recorded the episode, but we could eat like 500 cannolis throughout the recording of the episode.
I was about to say,
we probably have to go mini cannolis.
The most important question though, Pat, is that per person or is that in total?
Oh, that's got to be per person.
Oh, thank you. Okay, good. I was worried for a second.
I mean, we've been doing this enough. Do you really want to play the video game on easy mode?
No.
Come on. Yeah.
Like I said, I'm no quitter. Type 4 diabetes. Here I come.
Right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Yeah, I'm up for it. My innards are prepared. How are yours?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
So in the month of December, we've also got our Patreon episodes, Heart and Souls from 1993. Little Robert Downey Jr. ditty there. And then our Patreon short episodes are It Started in 93 with Lois and Clark, The New Adventures of Superman. And our other Patreon short is It Ended in 93 with The Wonder Years. So we've got some great stuff.
Oh, The Wonder Years.
What would you do if I sang out of tune? Jeff, would you stand up and walk out on me?
Yes.
Okay. But could we go get a cannoli afterwards?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. That's all I need to know.
I love cannolis. I love to eat them lots.
Yeah.
I love cannolis.
I think we need to do a podcast outing is what we're going to go do.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll get this arranged. But anybody that wants to join us, feel free to drive up to Chicago. We will go with you to go get cannolis together. That could be our live show. We don't have to do a tour. We just have to invite all of our listeners that want to come up to go to Tony Cannoli with us.
But I feel like that's totally us. Like maybe our tour should just be going to different bakeries and pastry shops.
Yes.
That's where we can record our episodes. We don't need big conventions.
No. We take it on the road. We hang out in the parking lot. We eat pastries. Yeah, I like it.
Let's do it.
I'm good with that. Okay.
I've got a couple bakeries in mind already.
Nice. All right. Yeah. Let me go steal a corporate credit card, and then we'll get started.
Great.
Yeah. All right. Everybody, be excellent to each other. Go watch some good movies. Go have some pastries while you're at it too, if you want. We will see you back here next time for the 500th anniversary episode. We'll see you then.